Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thank you to everyone who's been watching and to any of our new followers. Yeah, great you're all interested in what we're doing here in Jersey. We're back planting today. You see behind me we're on some slightly less sloping fields. We're still in the east of the island. We're overlooking Grouville. You can see in the distance that is Grouville Bay, Seymour Tower, and you'll see we're now able to use the tractors on the slopes. You can see my uncle's here in the 6130 John Deere. We've got the Brevileri power harrow on, and he's coming up and he's levelling out the soil after we've ploughed it. I'm going to show you today a bit of how we're doing. It's slightly different to how we use the winches and the hydraulic and the PTO driven winches in the video I put up on Sunday, but gradually as the fields get flatter we can start using more mechanised input. But the hand planting, you can see behind me, that still remains the same. So we're just going to show you a bit of how it works today. So as I said, we had there was people commenting saying, you know, why can't we use tractors sooner? This is about as steep as we can go. It's just about pulling it up. I say it still doesn't look that steep, but it is steeper than it looks. But I say it's been ploughed yesterday. Unfortunately I missed that because we were planting, but ploughed up, ground conditions are actually pretty good for this time of year. These are our first early slopes. There is quite a lot of stone. You can see here, look, there's plenty of stone in these fields, but that actually helps the soil warm up quicker. And on these early slopes, when we're harvesting small volumes, we're only going to be yielding around about 2 tonne of G, so about 4.4, 5 tonne max an acre on these fields. They're not going to be in the ground for very long. They're going to be harvested by kind of, well, hopefully these second week of April. What happened is we power harrow it, level it all out, and then we've got the machine, another track crawler up there. We're now on 30-inch row spacings. So you can see these are the ridges. These are the ridges here I'm opening up, and the guys then plant the potatoes in the ridges. So this is the little track machine. It comes from Morrish Engineering down in, I think it's Devon or south of England. Had it for years now. There's lots of them in Jersey on the island, and they're used to open up the ridges, as you can see here, for the potatoes we planted in. They were really popular. Gradually we're using them less and less. We now just use them early on in the season on these type of slopes, because as we get onto the flatter fields, as I'll show in the videos coming up in a few weeks time, we move on to using our power harrow that has the bankers on the back and it's guided by GPS. But these machines are brilliant, especially for early on. They're light, and with the tracks they can get up the slopes really well, and they don't compact the soil, and that's really important on these early slopey fields. We want to keep the ground in its best condition as possible. What we then do is, you got the trailer here, that's got all the seed potatoes on in the trays, and then we come along, we lay the boxes out, and the guys will then come up and plant them in their rows. We space out, so we count how many paces the guys are planting. We use the boxes as a guide. They're planting 5 of the seed potatoes to 1 box. So basically we line it up and we'll plant 5 of these seed potatoes inside this box, and that is how we know the spacing. And then we know roughly it's 18 paces apart, so we'll have a box down there at the bottom and then a box, the next set of boxes here, and they'll plant their box in that area. So that is how we plant. Again, we had a few comments in the last video saying, oh, we're planting very close. We want early new potatoes, we want small size, we don't want big potatoes. So that's why we plant a really high planting density, to try and enable us to have lots of high numbers of tubers when we come to harvest. So we've now, the fields all been planted. Guys have planted it all the ridges have been filled in with the potatoes, so you can see. And we're using the disc now to reclose. That's because, as I said before, we're 30 inches apart now, and that means we can got enough room, we can bring the tractor down. It's too steep, we can't close going uphill. Again, if we get people saying, oh, you're going to pull all the ground downhill, all of this field has been worked uphill, we plough it uphill. We don't find it a problem. We've done this for years and years. There's still plenty of ground down here at the bottom, and there's still plenty of ground at the top. But basically the tractor's coming down and it's gently covering over with a disc and covering the potatoes over. A little John Deere 4520, and it's a homemade closing frame. We buy in the disc and then Will fabricated it again quite a while ago. Yeah, and its ground conditions for this time of year, as I said before, are very nice. You can see all quite crumbly. I said before, there is a lot of stones in these fields. None of we won't be harvesting any of these with harvesters. These will all be dug by hand with a little either side delivery or a little elevator which just literally gently lifts the spuds up and puts them back on the floor. If we had too steep harvesters, wouldn't be safe, so we just dig them by hand. But I'll show you a few clips now of Dad closing up. Some of the stones, massive, and they're paying because they knock out the spuds. Plenty of seagulls, always a good sign, so there's lots of life in the soil, eating all the little grubs and worms. And more we're whiter up here, we're above, again, as I said before, we're in Gribble Bay down over there. All of these fields below, these will be going into Jersey raw potatoes. The ones below here are actually organic, so they'll be going into the next couple of weeks if it's dry. So I hope you found today's video interesting as well. I say it's gradually as we move through. Sunday's video was the really steep slopes using the winch drawn equipment, and then today's getting onto the slightly more gentle slopes. We can start using the tractors and the track machine to open up the rows. Gradually as we move through the season, fields will increase the size, and then we'll also get on to using we got the set of power harrows with the GPS bank GPS on it. We can open up the ridges using that. That's kind of our main setup. We are still a mixed farm. Any new followers aren't sure, so we're a mixed farm. We grow our potatoes. We've also got our Jersey dairy cows as well. That's why I'm just now finishing up checking on the dry cows. They're just grazing off this is some of our grazing fields for 2025. Winter hasn't been that cold yet, so grass growth has just continued. So we're just getting this cover grazed off, and then very much weather dependent, we will either get some slurry on here late January, when our 15th of Jan we can start spreading again. So we'll either get some slurry on then, or if it's too wet, we'll put some fertiliser on kind of as soon as it's warm enough, really. Usually around middle of February we'll get the first lot of fertiliser on. But yeah, pretty nice to have a few dry days. It looks like tomorrow, or today even, is supposed to be, I'm filming this on Tuesday, but yeah, tomorrow is supposed to be quite wet. We're hoping to get back planting again on Thursday and Friday. So thanks for all watching and enjoy New Year.